Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to the final in-season recap of the 1993 Historical Baseball Project featuring the Cincinnati Reds and the Texas Rangers. My name is Dave Little, and we are recording from the Dave Cave with results for the home games for Cincinnati and Texas for the time period of September 16th through October 3rd, the end of the season in the 1993 year. So let us start by taking a look at the standings as of September 15th in the National League. In the National League, the Phillies in the East have it locked up, 11 and a half games ahead of Chicago and Pittsburgh, and in fact the only Eastern Division team above 500 at this point in time. In the West, the Braves are in control. The Giants are going to need some help, but with 2 weeks of play remaining in the season, there is slim hope for a San Francisco comeback. Among the individual performers, we have a new home run leader in the National League, and that is Barry Bonds. Bonds almost on Triple Crown pace with 50 home runs, 145 RBIs, and a .350 batting average. Doubtful that he'll catch Andres Galarraga for the batting crown, as Galarraga is still flirting with the 400 mark. So the last 2 weeks of September will be very interesting to watch the Colorado Rockies, even though they are 40 games below 500. They've got something to cheer for in Andres Galarraga. Your National League ERA leaders. Jeff Fassero still on top with a 2.29 ERA. But he is marginal as to whether he will accumulate enough innings to meet the 162 inning threshold that is necessary to qualify for the ERA title. Mark Portugal is 2, Bill Swift is 3, Tom Candiotti is 4, and ironically enough, all 3 of these guys will be pitching in Cincinnati this week. So it is going to be potentially a brutal week for the Reds as they face 3 of the top 4 ERA leaders in the National League. Tom Glavine, with his 20th win, has leapfrogged over Bill Swift and is now the #1 guy in the Cy Young voting according to the Stratomatic algorithms. Greg Maddux is right behind him. Glavine is 20-7 with a 3.61 ERA, so he is a full point higher than Portugal, Swift, and almost a full point higher than Greg Maddux. But by virtue of that 20th win, that really must have boosted him in the algorithm, because he is currently running first in the Cy Young race with Greg Maddux #2. Glavine 20-7, 3.61. Maddux 19-9 with a 2.78 ERA. And of course, Bill Swift 18-7 with a stellar 2.58 ERA. And let's take a quick look at Mark Portugal and see what he is. He's 17-5, so he's not doing badly at all with a 2.49 ERA. So lots of good pitching on the top of the National League leaderboards. And Brian Harvey from Florida has taken over the saves lead with 37. Now, for the Cincinnati Reds through the midpoint of September, Hal Morris has been on a hot streak. He is up to .319 by way of a batting average. He will lead the team among those who qualify. Kevin Mitchell will not qualify, but has still put up a fine season with a .372 average to go with 26 home runs, 78 RBI. Your team RBI lead is a battle between Chris Sabo and Reggie Sanders. Sanders up 2 right now, 88-86. And on the pitching slate, Jose Rijo, needless to say, is stellar, 16-8, 3.09 ERA. He is the man. Tim Belcher's coming in at 3.30, and local kid Larry Lubers 4-4 with a 3.43 ERA. Reardon with the 22 saves, but still with an ERA north of 4.5. So that is your update in the National League. Let's take a look now at the American League through games of September 15th. In the East, the Orioles and the Blue Jays are coming down to the wire. Just one game separates them as we head into the last 2 weeks of the season. Neither of those teams will be visiting Texas, so we'll have to wait until all the results are in, kind of like the presidential election. We won't know the outcome until all the results are in. In the West, Chicago has just about got it locked up. Still 5 games on top of California with 2 weeks left in the season. As far as the MVP race goes, Ken Griffey definitely has it locked up. 54 home runs, 134 RBIs with a 321 batting average has him looking strong. Running second in the ERA in the MVP race, believe it or not, is Chris Hoiles from Baltimore. 39 home runs, 100 RBIs, and a 313 batting average for the division leading Orioles. You'd have to think that the team's record, they've got the best record in the league. That may have something to do with the weighting of how those MVP numbers come out. Juan Gonzalez still stellar for Texas, coming in at 295 with 49 home runs and 98 RBI. John Olerud is looking good for the batting title for the second place Blue Jays, and it will be exciting to see that pennant race come down to the wire. The Cy Young race in the American League is a 2-man race. Kevin Appier and Jimmy Key are your top vote getters. Appier 21-9 with a 2.37 ERA. The Rangers will see him this week, so it's not going to be an easy time of Strat for yours truly in the games for the coming 2 weeks. Number 2 behind that is Jimmy Key, who leads the league with 22 wins, 9 losses, and a very solid 3.07 ERA. And Roberto Hernandez from the White Sox, the division-leading White Sox, on top of the league with 36 saves. In terms of individual performances for the Rangers, Juan Gonzalez, as we mentioned, is tearing it up, 295, 49, and 98. Rafael Palmeiro putting in a very nice season, 303 by the way of batting average, leads the team with 109 RBIs to go with his 30 home runs. Dean Palmer, of course, also putting up big power numbers, 35 home runs, 103 RBIs. And he was batting in the low 200s most of the season. He's got that up to 258. So really a good season for Palmer in terms of the power department. And David Holtz also coming in above 300 on the season by way of his batting average. For the Rangers pitching, the lone bright spot really has been Roger Pavlik. 14 wins, 7 losses, and a 4.03 ERA. Nolan Ryan, of course, had 15 very strong starts in part-time work, picking up 9 wins with an ERA of 2.62. But the 2 top guys have been disappointing. Kevin Brown has got the ERA down to 4.40, but still 15 losses on his record. And Kenny Rogers continues to toil with an ERA above 5.1 for the season. And Tom Henke, the closer, 33 saves among the league leaders with a fine 3.11 batting average. All right, that brings us to the games of the week. We had 9 games for Cincinnati this week, and 10 games for Cincinnati and 6 for the Rangers. And we'll start with Cincinnati since they were the busier team of the week. And they kicked things off on the 3rd of September with a very exciting, very surprising. Oh, let's see this. Oops, I'm on the wrong page. Let's go here. Reds 16 through October 3. Here it is. The Reds kicked things off with a bang, facing one of the top pitchers in the National League, Bill Swift, and they pounded on Bill Swift. The Giants are in the thick of the pennant race, coming to town with Cy Young candidate Bill Swift on the mound. San Francisco fans were shocked. They were hoping for an opening game win, but Chris Sabo crushed a grand slam homer in the 3rd inning to put the Reds up 5-1 and send Swift to an early shower. John Smiley rode the momentum to victory to deal a significant blow to the Giants' hopes for the postseason. But the Giants did come back and take the final 2 games of the set. Game 2 was a magnificent duel between John Burkett and Jose Rijo. San Francisco's Robbie Thompson stroked a 2-run homer in the 7th to break a 1-1 tie and give the Giants the win. Rijo was spectacular, pitched a 7-hit complete game, struck out 13, but Burkett matched him pitch for pitch and got help from Rod Beck in the 9th for the save as the Giants evened the series. And in the rubber game on September 18th, Cincinnati gave the ball to Larry Lubers, the local product, but the hometown hero got torched for 6 runs in the first inning on 2 infield misplays by Jeff Branson, and the Giants won in a laugher. Barry Bonds in that game hit for the cycle. A home run, a triple, a double, a single. Scored 3 runs and drove in 4 to pace the attack. And Bud Black coasted to the win for the Giants. That brought the Los Angeles Dodgers to town for a 4-game set, beginning on September 20th when Orel Hershiser took the mound against Cincinnati's Tim Pugh. The Dodgers got home runs by Tim Wallach and Eric Davis in the late innings to break open a seesaw game and give the Dodgers the victory. Orel Hershiser gave up a 4-run lead in the early going. The Reds came back and tied it at 4, but the Bulldog gutted it out and pitched the complete 9 innings for his 18th win of the season. On September 21st, it was Kevin Mitchell who had the big night for the Reds. He homered, drove in 4 runs, and the Reds were able to even the series behind Tim Belcher, who picked up his 10th win of the season. Belcher held Los Angeles hitless until the 5th and surrendered only 4 hits in his 7 1/3 innings of work. On September 22nd, the Reds offense finally came alive in the 6th inning, busting out with a 5 spot against Ramon Martinez to jump ahead. Cincinnati put up 3 more in the 7th to bust the game open and coast to victory. Tom Browning went 6 strong innings for Cincinnati and earned only his 4th win of the season against those 11 losses. Rough year for Browning, but he was able to hold things together and benefit from the Reds' offensive onslaught on September 22nd. And on the 23rd, it was Tom Candiotti, one of the league ERA leaders, who came into Cincinnati squaring off against John Smiley. And it was Kevin Mitchell again who did the damage. Mitchell hit 2 triples and a double. Reggie Sanders homered, and John Smiley pitched into the 9th as the Reds picked up their 3rd win of the series. Mitchell's 2-run triple in the 5th inning put Cincinnati ahead 4-0 and spelled the end for Candiotti. LA mounted a comeback in the 9th, were able to pull to within a run on a 2-run double by Mike Piazza, but Jeff Reardon came on for the Reds to retire the final 2 Dodger batters and pick up his 24th save. So Reds take 3 out of 4 over the Dodgers and will end the season on the final weekend at home against the Houston Astros. And it was the Astros sweeping the Reds in a very well-pitched 3-game series. Doug Drabek started things off on October 1st. Drabek went 8 1/3 innings of 2-hit shutout baseball, outdueling Tom Browning, who had another solid start. But the Astros came out with the victory. Browning did a fine job in his final outing, yielding only 2 runs, 1 earned on 6 hits over 6 innings of work, but the Reds' offense couldn't provide him with the support he needed. Luis Gonzalez drove in Craig Biggio twice to provide the only runs for Houston in the 1st inning and in the 5th inning. And the Astros take the opener 2-0. Game 2 on October 2nd, the Reds were again shut down by Astros pitching. This time it was Mark Portugal. Among the league ERA leaders, Portugal picked up his 18th win of the season, pitching 8 innings and holding the Reds to only 1 run on 6 hits, while striking out 10. John Smiley started for Cincinnati, kept it close until the 7th, when Scott Service, the catcher, not to be confused with Scott Service, the relief pitcher for Cincinnati, the catcher, Scott Service, for Houston stroked a 2-run homer to put Houston on top to stay. And in October the 3rd, the final game of the season, Pete Harnisch took the mound for the Astros and picked up where his teammates left off, finishing the season in style with an 8-inning gem. Harnish held Cincinnati to 2 runs, only 1 earned, surrendering only 5 hits while striking out 8. Larry Lubers, the Cincinnati native, took the mound for the home squad again. He didn't pitch badly in 5 innings of work, but gave up the home run to Bagwell. And the Astros sweep the series to end the home season for the Redlegs. Moving on to the Texas fortnight. Texas started things off with a 3-game set against the Oakland A's. And it was the A's with the sweep over the Rangers. 2 pitchers coming off disappointing seasons. Locked horns on September 28th in a brilliant pitcher's duel, as Oakland's Bobby Witt dueled Texas' Kenny Rogers. This game was scoreless until the 8th when Kevin Seitzer drove home Ricky Henderson with the only run of the game. Witt earned the victory, his 9th of the season against 17 losses, pitching 7 1/3 innings before handing it off to Dennis Eckersley, who came on for the 5-out save. Kenny Rogers also pitched 7 1/3 strong innings, but with the defeat fell to 10 and 12 on the season. September 29th was a whole different story. This one was a slugfest. The A's broke it open with 7 runs in the 5th inning, capped by a 3-run homer by Troy Neal off lefty Charlie Leibrandt. Neal had 3 hits and 5 RBI on the day, alongside Ruben Sierra, who contributed 3 hits and 3 runs and 3 RBIs. Dean Palmer hit a grand slam for Texas in the defeat, but it was too little too late as the A's ran to the victory. In the series finale, 2 more home runs by Troy Neal propelled Oakland to a 5-4 win over Texas in a series sweep. Texas staked Kevin Brown to a 4-2 lead, but Neal's 3-run blast in the 6th inning put Oakland on top, and the Rangers had no answers for Todd Van Poppel. Juan Gonzalez homered twice for Texas to give him 51 on the season to go with 101 RBIs. So big day for Gonzalez to cap off a very solid year. Finally, October 1st through the 3rd, the Rangers wrapped up their home season by hosting the Kansas City Royals. And to start things off, it was presumptive Cy Young winner Kevin Appier who took the mound. 21-game winner, and his performance lived up to the hype. Appier held Texas to 2 runs on 9 hits over 7 innings to rack up win number 22 of the season and lower his ERA to 2.38. Craig Lefferts held his own for Texas, but shoddy defense and poor bullpen work prevented Lefferts from getting a win as he fell to 0-7 for the season. Greg Gagne and Gary Gaetti each collected 3 hits for the Royals. October 2nd, another classic pitcher's duel and another Rangers loss. David Cone, despite being a 20-game loser for the 93 season, outdueled Kenny Rogers as both pitchers went the distance. Kansas City pushed across the go-ahead run in the top of the 9th on an RBI by Mike McFarland to provide the difference for the Royals. Cone allowed only 1 run on 7 hits while striking out 7, and Rogers, in his complete game performance, allowed only 1 earned run on 6 hits, striking out 8, but unfortunately giving up the game winner in the 9th. After a 5-game home losing streak, the Rangers picked up the victory in the season finale on October 3rd. Rafael Palmeiro went 4 for 5 with a home run and 3 RBI as the Rangers jumped on Mark Gubicza and Jeff Montgomery for 9 runs in 5 innings and never looked back. Roger Pavlik capped a fine season for the Rangers, going the distance to earn his 15th win of the season. Pavlik finishes 15-7, plus whatever results we get off of the road. Dean Palmer also with a home run for Texas in that one. All right, so that closes down the home results for the Reds and the Rangers for 1993. Later this week, I will get the results of the rest of the action as provided by Larry Foster, who does a fabulous job as the commissioner of the Historical Baseball Project. And probably next week, I will put together a season recap show. and tell you how the exciting AL East pennant race shook out and how things are going to set up for the playoffs. Typically, the playoffs in the Historical Baseball Project take a little while. It takes time to put new managers or put new league files out and get the managers in. And so I can't guarantee the timing on those, but I will try also to put a recap of the playoffs on the channel at some point in the future. So next week we'll be back with the 1993 season recap. We'll have the award winners, the final standings, and the playoff setups. And until then, thank you all for checking this out tonight. That's our stream, and I am out of here.